Good morning, everybody. My name is Alta Monrose, and thank you so very much for tuning in to DBS this morning. Today's show is entirely about creating a beautiful space. But before I give it all away, let's take a stop at the news desk and say good morning to Kendall.
Good morning. We start with news that the management of the Bodley Correctional Facility has announced a review of operational procedures at the institution following the violent attack of an inmate by two others on the weekend.
More so, whenever inmates are being fed, there is always an officer to supervise the feeding of the inmates. In that instance, the act or the violent act occurred very quickly and very violently, that the officer did the right thing by moving away from that incident and proceeded to call for assistance. Yes, it took 1 minute 20 seconds, but it's 1 minute 20 seconds the officers had to leave the base to run to that particular unit to stop the incident. What the video will not show is when the officers arrived, how they subdued the other inmates, and also how they attended to the one who was assaulted.
Now, Home Affairs Minister Dr. Virginia Albert Poyott has repeatedly underscored the need for changes at the Bodley Correctional Facility over the last several months. The Castries Constituencies Council has unveiled plans for the hosting of the Junior Creole activities in the city centre.
So, of course, many persons want to know what can Castries possibly be exposing, what can we be sharing, what traditions do we have? And I think many persons have spoken about it through the media, social media especially, that they don't believe that we in Castries have so much to offer for Junior Creole. And I like to let them know that's very, very wrong. We decided to host the event at two locations, the Derek Walcott Square. We must admit that the brand, the Walcott Brothers, is very much synonymous with us in Castries Central. When we spill over into the boulevard, in the days of my mother, not my era, but in the days of my mother, they spoke about Clark and Getty Cinema. So we have so much rich history right there in the William Peter Boulevard. So this is why we have picked these two locations to host such an event. When we think about what is synonymous with Castries Central, we think about as a child going through the boulevard with patch nuts. We think about our Christmas celebration with Uncle Sam, Serafina, Masquerade. This is synonymous with us in Castries. When we think about Ferrand's Dairy, the eggnog, chalk ice, etc.
The CCC will next week reveal more of what the public can expect in Castries Central for Junior Creole. Tourism officials declared the 2022-23 cruise tourism season open when Celebrity Millennium berthed at Port Castries on October 19th.
And we couldn't be more proud. This is a very special and emotional day for us today, returning back after 2.5 years to amazing St. Lucia. We just passed the Panama Canal a few days ago, and on last Saturday we left San Juan, and you're the fourth island we are visiting in the Caribbean, and from now on you will see us every week.
Celebrity Summit is expected to berth at Port Castries on October 20th, continuing the tone of the 2022-23 cruise season, followed by 5 additional cruise calls in October, 29 in November, and 69 calls in December, with 4 projected for Christmas Day alone. Micro, small and medium enterprises now have an additional avenue to access financing. The Ministry of Commerce, in conjunction with the St. Lucia Development Bank and the Small Business Development Center, launched a grant loan facility during the Babonneau Business Forum on Wednesday.
This is an opportune time for MSMEs to transform their business operations to include financial record keeping, adoption of standards, and consider the marketing platforms using new dynamics to enhance the growing digital era, to embrace, the growing digital era. The MSME loan grant facility will be made available to St. Lucian nationals.
More details about the micro, medium and small enterprise development loan and grant facility will be released in the coming weeks. Those are your top stories. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Thank you, Kendall. And you stay right where you are because we'll be back in one moment. Now today, guys, we got to meet up with the amazing Melissa Melius, who is an interior designer, and we got to see one of her latest projects, Razzmatazz. So let's check that out. Good morning, St. Lucia, and welcome back. I am going to be joined with a very special person, and we are sticking in the creative field. But before I give too much away, let's go and check her out. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
For all the St. Lucians out there who do not know who you are, could you just give us a little brief intro?
Okay, my name is Melissa Melius, and I am the owner, co-founder of Mel's Interior Designs. And what can I say except that right now we are currently at my latest project, which happens to be Razzmatazz Restaurant, and I really cannot wait to take you guys inside so that you can take a closer look and really get to understand a little bit more about me and my business and what goes behind every design.
All right, I'm very excited to go in and check it out, so let's go. Wow, hair looks amazing. Could you just give us a little run through about what you changed?
Okay, so right where I am standing is where used to be an actual barrier. There used to be a separation between the dining area and the bar area on this side. So one of the first things I did when we started was to take a hammer to knock this space out. I really wanted to create a more open feel in this space so that you didn't really have that disconnect in this space, especially for a restaurant. You don't want it to feel too crowded. Whenever you have a space where you have a lot of movement happening, you want to ensure that things don't feel cluttered, so that you have a free movement to be able to move in and around different spaces. So that barrier really created not just a visual block, but it was also literally a physical block. Yeah. Another thing that I really wanted to make an impact in the space was the lighting. I am big on lighting, and I always feel like lighting is one of the ways that makes the biggest impact in any space. The lighting should make a statement. Again, especially if you have a restaurant, you're doing it for commercial space, lighting should always have that impact. That when you walk into a space, it gives you that wow factor, and I feel like this really gives you the wow factor. If you have to see this, especially when it's on, I mean right now it's during the day, but at night, which is when you really get the effects, when you see this on, when you have that black background, and I'm gonna come to that and say exactly why I also selected black. It's a pretty bold color. I happen to love black, but I selected the black for a reason. And if you notice, I kept the sides in a white, and I used the black so that the space actually recedes so that it appears larger. And that is one of the little tricks that you can use in interior design, playing with colors and even where you place those colors. Yeah. So you notice we have white above. You never want to forget your fourth wall, which is your ceiling. You have white above, we have white surrounding, and then we have that black in the back. So when you look this way, it actually seems like it's going back because you have the darker color, making the space expand and to feel larger. And then, of course, I didn't want it to just be black and white, brought in the pops of color with our red. And it's not just any red. The red was selected, it's more of an orangey red, because reds come in different colors. But I selected an orangey red because I really wanted it to marry with the sign, Razzmatazz. If you take a look at the sign, if you look at the menu, you have a mix of that orangey red with your blacks, with your whites. Yep. So that really was the jumping point for me from where my inspiration came from in selecting the colors in the space.
So tell me, how long did it take you to do all of this?
Okay, so everything that you see in here literally took us about 26 days. It's a little over 3 weeks. It was a lot to try to get done in that space of time, but I mean, in the end, I had a good team. The guys really pushed to ensure that certain things were met, certain deadlines were met. It takes a lot of also project managing because you have so many different elements and so many different things happening at the same time. So for me, even when I left the site, my work didn't really stop because I have to always make sure that I am ensuring that, you know, fabric selections, colors, ensuring that whoever has to do the upholstering, that they're on it to make sure that they're doing everything that has to be done for selecting lighting. So it's like every single step of the way, I had to really do multiple things at a time so that we could ensure that the project would have been completed within the time frame that we had, because it really was a lot, because every single color changed on everything, literally an entire surface. We reupholstered all of the chairs and everything else. So yeah.
Seeing that you did such a beautiful job, I think all of St. Lucia wants to know, what got you started?
Okay, for me, interior design was something I always loved. I find that even when I was younger, my parents would tell you I was always constantly changing the house around. I was always moving the bed around, I was changing the living room furniture around. So it was something that I really did grow up loving. Now, even when I went on my own and I started having my own home, I found that more and more that love for interior design kept resurfacing, and I was always changing something around. And I was hooked on interior design shows. If you know HGTV, in my era when we grew up, you had things like Design on a Dime, and you had, you know, so there was just something about being able to take a space from what it used to be and being able to transform it into something that when a homeowner walks in, or when anybody walks into a space, that it makes them feel different. Because for me, interior design is not just about creating beautiful spaces and about having a physical beautiful space. I'm always thinking of how that space will make you feel. And even when I remember I did the walkthrough with the restaurant owner, one of the first things I asked him, I said, how do you want your restaurant to feel? Because for me, I feel like design has to hit here. It has to touch the heart. You know, when you look at it, I want it to make you smile. I want it to make you feel good. I want it to make you feel at peace, to make you feel calm. So when you walk into the space, that you feel so at home that you want to, you know, just stay a while. That kind of thing, you know. As we move into what I consider to be the more formal dining space, the reason why I'm saying it's more formal, if you take a look at the lighting, for instance, again, we still have that basket we've designed. However, it lends itself to a more traditional style, I should say. Whereas on the outdoor, we went a bit more fun and casual. They still complement each other in terms of the materials that were being used. However, this is definitely more traditional in terms of the design. So one of the things that I actually did, if every single light you see here in the space was actually relocated. So I had every single light relocated to make better use of the lighting in the space. Because again, it's not just about selecting lighting or having lighting. The placement of your lighting is also very important. So being able to now have lighting above every single, you know, the tables to really light up the space, and even having the lighting at the correct height is also very important. These 3 squares, eventually we are actually going to be having some beautiful Indian tandoori artwork which will be coming in between each square. So that is going to jump off of this wall even more. And again, to really bring in dimension into space, I could have just left it as just a black wall, but adding that molding really almost gives you a 3D effect on that back wall. You will notice the fabric on the back seats. Again, I had pattern on the back seats, but then I went with a plain fabric on these. Because they're next to it, I also did not want to create a space that's going to be too busy. So having moments for the eye to rest, basically, so you can go from busy, but then you have something that's a little bit more of a solid color. So having different moments where you can have the plain, having some of the pattern, allows the design moments where you have some time to really take it all in, and then you have some, happy moments with all of the patterns and the designs and so on.
Well, it really is beautiful, and it just shows that little things matter. All the little things and all the little things you put into it, it just shows that this is a Do It With Mel creation.
Yes.
And it's honestly very beautiful, and I love all the plays on the patterns and all the little trinkets, so it is still Ramataz.
Yes.
It is not any other store. You can still has the same essence that it once had. It's just better.
Yes.
All you did was improved it.
Yep.
And you just created what they already had and just add a little bit more oomph. And I really love it. And I love the plays on patterns. Because there is multiple patterns. If you haven't noticed, there are multiple patterns, but it's not overwhelming. No. It is nice, it is calm, and I would love to come and sit here and have some dinner.
You should.
I will be, as soon as it opens up, I will be here. Thank you guys again. But before we leave, I have one last question for you. Do you prioritize aesthetics over functionality?
So that is a fantastic question. Aesthetics over functionality. It can be tricky sometimes, but I always aim to give both, because I believe that although you want a home that's aesthetically pleasing, you also want something that's functional.
Yes.
Because if it's not functional, you won't be able to maintain those aesthetics. Exactly. I'll tell you that for sure.
Exactly.
So being able to give you both, having something that's beautiful and having something that's also functional, is extremely important, and that's where good design really comes into play, because it's not just a matter of putting that pillow here or putting that chair here. Literally measuring out the space and space planning and working with scale and working with all of those different things will give you a space that is beautiful, but at the same time also functional in terms of the way that you use it. I'm saying you use it because every single homeowner or business owner will use a space differently. So at the end of the day, it has to be based off of the way that you use your space, and at the same time for me to still make it a space that is going to be magazine worthy at the end of the day.
Now you see guys, you can get it the best of both worlds and Do It With Mel. So just let everyone know where they can find you and how they can contact you.
Okay, I can be contacted via telephone. You can also DM me on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Do It With Mel. Very easy to remember. Also on TikTok as well. My telephone number is 4867088. I'm guessing you will put it on the screen so that you guys can have it for later. And also my email as well, melsinteriordesign758@gmail.com.
Well, thank you again. It really is a truly beautiful space, and guys, go out and speak to Mel, because I know a lot of people like to keep their place regular, but you can get nice things without breaking the bank, right?
Yes.
All right, guys, see you in one moment. Welcome back. I got the opportunity to interview Mr. Kevin Rambali, who is the owner of Razzmatazz. He told us a little bit more about how he found Melissa Melius and how he enjoyed her work. So let's check that out. Good morning, everybody. I am joined here with Kevin Rambali, who is the owner of Razzmatazz. How are you doing?
I'm good, and how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, a little birdie told me that you had a specific someone redecorate your place for you. Is that true?
Yes, her name is actually Melissa Melius, and I got her information from Sharon Williams, and then when we had the meeting, her ideas I just love her ideas and what she wanted to do, and I had similar thoughts of the place too. So, when we started and I saw the way she went with the design and stuff, I was very impressed, very satisfied. The way she handled everything, the way she managed everything, she got it in the time frame that we spoke about. She actually used some of the old furniture and stuff we had and redid it in a different way, which I was very surprising for me. I was very impressed with that too. So, yes.
So, looking at everything now, is there anything that really stands out to you that's, oh my gosh, yes, this is my favorite piece?
Honestly, everything she did is actually good. Is actually really good. I mean, the tables for sure, which really stand out to me because the way it used to look before to now, because we had to sand it down, spray it and everything. So everything, to me, she did an excellent job. As far as the lighting fixtures, as she said, she was very big on that. And when she turned it on, she was so excited. She talked about it for so long. So, and I understand where she came from with it, because at nighttime, it's really beautiful.
Okay, is there anything that you did not see the vision at first, and then when she incorporated it, you were like, oh, yes, you were right, this looks amazing?
Honestly, everything she said, I saw exactly what she was talking about. As far as the back wall, that's the only thing with the painting. I was like, how is the painting coming? But then when I saw she put the frame and the stuff, and then I see the lighting, I understood that she wanted like a display wall. So, which, I mean, that, well, not really, but I mean, it was a really good idea.
Now I realize that everything has changed. And do you believe that your customers will appreciate the revamp?
Yes, I mean, we've been reopened for 4 days now, and we have our loyal returning customers, and everybody that came inside here loves the place, loves the new look, feels more light, feels more energetic, So I have basically great reviews about the renovation.
All right, thank you so much for your opinion. And guys, we'll see you again in one moment. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alison Monrose, and welcome to another episode of Ali's Corner. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to create a very cute yarn keychain. Now, you can put these keychains on your bag, on your keys, or anything you would like, to be very honest with you. I am going to be using two colors because I'm going to be making a heart, and I want mine two-toned, aka one side pink and one side blue. For this craft, you'll only need two things: your yarn and a pair of scissors. So let's get started, shall we? For this craft, because I'm going to be using two-tone, I'm going to start one side with pink and then finish with blue. If you are only using one color, everything I'm doing, you can just continue. So the first step is taking your yarn, in this case, my pink yarn, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. You are going to do so very loosely, well, not too loose, but not too tight. You want to still be able to stretch your fingers. And you're going to do this until it gets nice and thick, because the thicker you do it, the thicker your pom-pom. If you want a smaller pom-pom, you could use something like a fork or two of your fingers instead. The more you wrap, the tighter it becomes, so be very gentle and loose with it. As you can see, I can still move my fingers, so it is still good. Once you are done with one of your colors, if you're doing a two-tone heart like myself, you are going to cut the yarn and start with your next color. We are keeping it loose for multiple reasons. but the main reason is to make it easier to take it off your hand. It also stops your blood flow if it's too tight, and we wouldn't want that. Once you feel like you have done enough, you are going to cut your yarn and take one more piece of yarn, just enough to go between your fingers and the yarn and out the other side. You're going to pass it between your fingers, under your yarn, between your fingers and out the other side. Just like that. So it should look something like this. You're going to slowly remove it off your hand and tie a standard knot. Ensure that you pull it tightly to ensure that your strings do not fall out. Once you have done that, you are going to find the middle and start cutting each of the loops. Ensure that you do not miss any. Don't be afraid, fill it around and look everywhere for more loops. As you can see, all my loops are finally gone. Once you are satisfied, if you're trying to go for a more round shape, you are going to cut around your new pom-pom. If you are going for a more heart shape, you will do a little divot and you'll form the shape of the heart using your scissors and cutting the necessary bits of yarn. I think I'm going to keep it simple this time and keep it in a circle. I think I changed my mind and I'm going to go for more of a heart shape. So the ones to the top middle will be a little shorter, as that will indicate the divot for the heart. Just take your time and snip, snip, snip away. This is pretty therapeutic if you ask me. Alright guys, this is what mine turned out like, and I think it's very cute, if I do say so myself. Not to brag or anything. If you want a more fluffy look, you can brush it out. Anyways guys, I believe that you should try this out, and if you do, set it to 723-3333 because I would love to see your artwork and you get the opportunity to be featured on the next Ali's Corner. But this is all for today, and I will see you next week Thursday for another episode of Ali's Corner. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of our show. I hope you loved it because I know I did. But before you leave me, I have one last thing to say. We spend a lot of time at our homes, so why not put in the extra effort? You don't have to go paying endless money, painting walls, or buying new furniture, but it's simply moving it around and allowing a different airflow changes a lot more than you think. Now, if you don't want to do all of that, you can tune in to Ali's Corner every Thursday on the morning show, where I can teach you new things that you can add to your home, on a budget of course. But I give you all of this information, do with it what you will. I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye.